If training for more than 10 minutes a day was going to get me life-changing results overnight, I'd train for more than 10 minutes a day. The fact is, if you take the most effective routine and remove the fat, you're left with no more than the time you spend scrolling on social every day. Put it all together and in a week, you'll do no more than 60 to 70 minutes a week. I know this because I've trained this way for the past 12 months. The thing is, I still see gains even after 14 years in the gym. And I've seen it work time and time again with dozens of different students, whether they're just starting out or not. So what does that training actually look like? What's the 20% of your workout routine, if that currently exists, that make up 80% of your results? Most importantly, how do you know what they are so you can do it on repeat and guarantee results, even if you're just starting out? That's what I want to show you right now in this video. We're going to identify the 20% of work that's actually driving your strength and muscle gains. As we go, I'm going to run you through all 9 simple exercises for an aesthetic and well-balanced body, show you exactly how to execute them for yourself. I'll show you firsthand what it feels like to train with maximal efficiency. You can then start eliminating all the waste from your training and progress towards your dream body fast. All this takes just under 10 minutes a day and a few simple pieces of home or gym equipment. If you're new to this concept, here's a really quick recap. To build an aesthetic body fast and efficiently comes down to our ability to be consistent. Link to my video below where I talk more about that. But here I'll be showing you the practical and science-backed side of things. But keep in mind, without consistency, none of what I'm about to show you will matter. The basic concept for understanding muscle gain in simple terms is that the muscle fibers tear in order to repair and grow. Like pulling apart a string, except the difference is your muscles can repair itself. In order to tear them, it requires 2 key things. 1 is force and 2, time. You could favor one over the other or just simply meet in the middle. So in other words, putting force on your muscles for an extended period of time will lead to muscle gain. I'll show you in a second what that might look like and how to do it. But we need to first understand the concept. Take this example, 20 kilogram bicep curl for 10 reps or 30 kilogram for 5 reps. The first is less force, but for a longer time. The second is more force, but for a shorter time. But because everyone is starting at a different point, you only build muscle if there's enough force and or time. In practical terms, the point at which we guarantee muscle gain is when we push to the point where our muscles get tired and we simply can't do any more reps with good form. In other words, the weight we're trying to lift or pull feels almost impossible to move. The inefficient thing about most muscle building workouts is that less than 1% of people's training ever reaches this point. Think about how often when you're training in the gym or doing bodyweight training that you actually reach this point. Usually it's on your last few reps of your last set when you actually push to failure. And that's only a small percentage of the entire workout. You might think you're working your muscles really hard, but unless it looks something like this, then really you're leaving gains on the table. So if we're smart about our approach to building muscle and how we set up our training, we can get that 1% of time spent doing hard reps much closer to 100%. And that's the secret to achieving pro-level results in far less time. We can visualize this right now with the bicep curl, a really simple movement. We're just flexing at the elbow while keeping our elbows in. Now, if you only lift the bar, you could be going forever before you reach the hard yet effective reps. What we can do here is then add some more resistance or weights, and instantly, it's a lot more challenging, which now brings us a lot closer to that point. And after so many reps, we'll start to feel like we're nearing the point where we can't do any more. The sooner we feel this, the more effective our workouts are. Because the harder it is, the more we benefit from doing that thing. But here's the key. Most people will stop here. We don't want to stop here. We want to keep going. And this is what your last 1 to 2 reps should look like. Watch closely. And oftentimes it's going to feel hard, as if the weight's not moving. But film yourself once and you'll realize that the weight's actually moving, but in slow-mo. Of course, sometimes there's just no way it's going to go up. So we just talked about pushing to failure, and that's usually when we're trying to push or pull something against gravity. In this case, it's curling up the bar. But what about when we go in the direction of gravity? This is best explained using the tricep skull crusher. Of course, here we're targeting the triceps, aka the muscle that's going to make your arms look jacked and full. Similar to bicep exercises, we're also just bending at the elbow. For bicep curls, pulling the weight up is the hardest because we're having to pull the weight up against gravity. But in this exercise, and for most tricep exercises, it's no different. It's most challenging when we're trying to push the weight up. But the key to guaranteeing muscle is by resisting the weight down. And this goes for any exercise, even if it's just our body weight that we're resisting. For example, in this exercise here, also known as the pull-up, a great exercise for creating that V-shaped body for aesthetics. So after having pulled ourselves up chest to bar, what you want to do is control yourself down for at least 2 seconds. Do this by slowly lowering yourself towards the ground. It's going to feel hard, but it's super important if we want to build muscle. As we resist, it causes micro tears in the muscle fibers. This then allows our muscles to repair and grow. So just to recap, we want to be pushing to or near failure, and this usually happens when performing an upward motion, i.e. against gravity. But then on the way down, we want to be resisting for at least 2 seconds, and this applies to all exercises. But if we're trying to maximize effective muscle and strength building, most people will stop when they've hit a certain number of reps. So what should we do instead if we're trying to maximize our results with less time in the gym? Especially our goal of under 10 minutes a day, which is what this video is all about. Take the shoulder lateral raise, for example, which we all know targets our side delt. We can focus all our efforts on trying to lift the weight up, and most people will make the mistake of thinking that that's the only way to build muscle. But as we've already mentioned, it's also important to control the weight on the way down, because that then triggers the necessary conditions for muscle growth. But a common mistake is that most guys will stop here, i.e. after the hardest rep of the set. And that's great, but we can take it a step further. The reason being, our muscles haven't fully fatigued in this set. In order to maximize your gains for any exercise is to continue repping it out, even if it means doing half reps. And funnily enough, half reps have been proven by science to be just as effective as full reps for building muscle. But that's besides the point. The point is, you want to keep going until the weight can barely be lifted. But there's a mistake I see most guys doing in the gym. And this can in fact force you to stop building muscle for months or even years. Because without this, you'll get less bang for your buck with each rep. I'm talking about proper form. In fact, bad form makes lifting weights one of the most dangerous things you could possibly do. Think about all the things that are keeping you upright and able. Your spine, your joints. If we simply ignore the need for proper form, we end up putting these two things at risk, making transforming your body completely redundant. Zero benefits. So I want to hammer down on proper form, especially if you're going to follow this method of efficient, effective, and highly sustainable training. Take this example of bent over rows, working our mid-back. Watch closely. Looks simple, right? But there's a few things you may have missed, or perhaps can't see. Number 1, a strong flat back, which protects the spine. Number 2, breathing into the lower abdomen and bracing the core for greater stability. Number 3, pulling of the shoulder blades down and back before finishing the upward motion with my biceps. This ensures you activate and engage your mid-back as opposed to just using brute force to get it up. Number 4, leaning forward no more than 30 to 40 degrees to prevent compromising the lower back and causing unnecessary tightness. But keep in mind, a heavy weight can interfere with all the above and therefore result in less effective reps. Instead, go with a medium to heavy weight to balance effectiveness and safe lifting. And if you're just starting out, consider starting with just the bar. But even if we tick all the boxes like pushing to or near failure, resisting the weight down for at least 2 seconds, and doing half reps to finish, there's one more crucial point we can't ignore. And it's something that'll help boost your gains further. Take the bench press, for example, targeting your chest. And you may have seen a lot of guys on social media simply repping it out, moving the bar as if it's featherweight. Not only is this dangerous for most people, but it's also ignoring a key element for muscle building, aka the stretch. To best visualize this, imagine stretching an elastic band. There's going to be a point where it begins to tear, just like the downward portion of a bench press, or any exercise for that matter. When you lower the weight in a controlled manner, you're causing muscle fibers to tear, therefore allowing it to rebuild. A lot of the time, this gets ignored. Guys will focus too much on trying to move the weight up or hitting a specific number of reps. But instead, the key here is to try to really feel your chest muscles stretching as you lower the weight down. To do this, try to really emphasize the arch in your back, creating this dome-like shape in your mid-back as if trying to touch your shoulders together. And you want to maintain this throughout the movement. It's a simple yet often ignored way to guarantee gains. Okay, so I know we've covered a lot in this video, and if it wasn't obvious enough, Every exercise I've gone through are the exact same ones I do week after week to enhance my physique. Literally just one exercise per muscle group. But what about legs? To be honest, I have this cheap bike which I ride on the way to work. And trust me, it's not easy. Plus, it's a great way to target my quads. And I feel it's helped me build decent size, if not maintain. And if it wasn't for my job, I'd be doing barbell squats. And without boring you, here's a list of proven steps for maximum effectiveness or any squatting exercises. And to balance this out, you'll want to target your hamstrings. Here I'm doing Romanian deadlifts, and they're perfect for max gains in less time. And again, here's a proven checklist of what to keep in mind when doing this exercise. And last but not least, I'll often throw in a set of calf raises on a raised ledge. Oftentimes I'm doing this single-legged, which is decently challenging for myself, and it removes the need for weights. So all you need to do to build a lean aesthetic and well-balanced physique is apply these 5 key principles plus the 9 simple exercises we've just gone through. But keep in mind, all these exercises have alternatives that suit the equipment you have access to. And ideally, you want to do at least 1 exercise a day for 1 set, pushing to or near failure, which should take you at max 5 minutes a day. If you happen to do 2 or more exercises a day, make sure to rest 2 to 3 minutes between each one. Personally, I do 2 to 3 exercises a day, 1 set each, and with a drop set for each one. And that takes me under 10 minutes a day, sometimes longer if I really want to take my time. But if you're just starting out, work within your comfort zone and over time, you can build on that. As for the number of reps, aim for 6 to 8 reps, but more importantly, ensure that it continues to be challenging by adjusting the weight where necessary. Do all of this, plus make sure you're getting enough protein, sleep, nutrition, and recovery, and all the gains will follow. So I've left out abs for a good reason, and that's because you simply can't plank your way to a six-pack. And if you want to know more about how to get and stay lean without any exercise, check out this video here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.